something new out. I don't know who's all here or if this gets saved.
Hey, Facebook.
Hello.
They're recording like in different places here. But right now, this is the camera for Facebook Live. So welcome, folks. This is Burnt Offerings. It's 12 noon, so we ask you to grab a smoke and join us.
Yeah.
So here we are.
Right now. Let's take a look at both.
All right, all right.
I love that. I love that it feels like we have competing. So Devin says, "Hi, Instagram," and then Eric's like, "I'm only talking to Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook's
Instagram.
only.
Screw you guys. We're not telling you anything."
Okay, and if you see this on Instagram, we're going to start posting my daily devotional every day
Yes.
too.
Nice.
So check it out every morning.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So every week we apologize for technical difficulties because every week we try something new. So we got a little boom microphone rolling. So let us know if.
Sadly, everything I do, I have to apologize for technical difficulties.
Oh, everything.
I feel like that's just the way of our world. Hey, Instagram, you look great. Looking at you right now.
Oh, good.
I'm going to go back and forth. So if you're watching on Instagram or Facebook, please do us a favor, and I'm going to do it right now. Share this to your news feed. I actually don't think you can do that on. I'm not sure. I'd have to spend more time. I'm just going to
We're
like
not
it
as
right
good
now.
at Instagram, are we?
Yeah, Instagram. I have not shared anything live before yet, but I will.
No idea how it works.
So anyways, we will mess with that before. But if you are on Facebook Live, this is an opportunity for you to share this to your news feed, share it to your story. You never know whose life you're going to bless. We've been shocked to see
How many?
that by the end of the week,
Maybe.
these are around 800 to 1,000 views
Wow.
for just these lunchtime, once a week burnt offerings.
Burnt
where
offerings.
when we grab a stick and we break open the Bible and we have a good discussion. So please comment and share.
But if anybody is listening whatsoever, please tell us, does it sound good right now?
Oh yeah, but
Because we
another
have no
microphone?
idea.
Is that a new microphone?
This
Yeah,
is a
new
brand
mic,
new
yeah.
microphone. We've not even tested
For
it.
those of you who watched our church
Testing,
service,
testing.
we
Oh
tried
my
a new
gosh.
microphone last week.
Oh,
Like, we've
you
been
know
like,
what?
all
Hold
right,
on. This
you
is
didn't plug it
classic.
in.
It's not even plugged in.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
amazing.
All right, so here we go.
Amazing.
So I don't know who's the technical guy here, but I'm going to plug it in.
I'm
So
glad you saw
let's see here. Okay, boom. All right, so how does it sound now that the
hopefully
microphone's
better.
actually on?
Was the microphone unplugged?
Not even
yeah,
plugged
plug
in.
it.
Yeah.
Hey, plug it back in. So Instagram's going to be laughing at us.
Hey,
All right,
Instagram
so-
can't hear us
Yeah,
any
those
better.
Facebook
We'll
losers.
see.
Oh my gosh. All right.
Well, you know what's hilarious? You want to know what the funny part is?
It sounds better without
It sounded identical.
Oh, that's great.
It didn't
Oh,
sound any
that
different.
mic was picking it up on the phone.
Hold on.
Yeah.
It's my,
shoot.
I'll be darned.
All right.
battery.
All right, well, hey,
Cancel
welcome
that.
to Burnt Offerings.
Oh,
It's 12
there we
o'clock
go.
on Tuesday, and this is what we do every Tuesday at noon.
Tim is on with us right now. What's up, Tim?
Hey, Tim. So, for those of you who don't know, this is our good friend, Judge Petrocelli. He's a frequent visitor to many holy smokes around the state, and we like to read his verses that he posts every day on social media, and he calls it just Judge's Verse of the Day.
Yep.
So on Tuesday, we say, hey, let's go deep. Let's unpack it for a half hour and see what happens. So, Judge, greet the world
brethren.
and read us our verse of the day.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, first of all, so much for checking out my daily devotional. It means a lot to me. I enjoy it every morning, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. I try and post it everywhere. We're going to be putting it on Instagram. Also, it's on my regular feed if you're one of my friends. So anyway, today is from Matthew 6, 21. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And my commentary, as I've said before, which is difficult, I have to think about it, but my thoughts on this are brief, because I want you to read it, and I know if I get too wordy, lawyers have a tendency to be too wordy. Is not our faith our greatest treasure? Believe, and your heart will be full. That's what struck me today.
Wow.
All right. Good.
So, like-
welcome Armini Farm. I don't know, it's probably one of the people we know on Instagram, by the way. Just want to say what's up.
Oh, Graham. So we got all these cameras. Where's the YouTube live stream?
I
That's
was
next.
going
That'll
to
be over
mention
there.
it. We
Oh.
just popped
All
one
All
up.
right. Well, I will post it. On
I would
YouTube.
love if somebody would come up with some tech that would harmonize live streams all together.
Oh my god.
There
That'd
is-
be so amazing.
We're just
And we
poor
would love
coordinated.
somebody to just actually have a camera because I can't
Yes.
even see the comments because my phone is videoing the thing. So
That's right.
But we're doing the word. So it's
Robbie
important.
Champagne
we're
is
doing
on
it,
there.
man. We're just creeping along. Robbie, how does the sound
Yeah.
sound?
It sounds good.
Oh, does
I'm
it?
down.
Robbie's
I
there, huh?
think it sounds good.
Thanks for
Judge-
joining us, Robbie.
All right.
Yep. See, sounds good.
Oh, it does sound all right. That's good.
All right. So thoughts. So let's get after it. Enough of the preamble.
Yeah.
We said read it one more time, Judge.
For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also.
So, a question for all of you watching live right now. First, start with us. What's your treasure? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so if it's gonna say, because they're saying it's a, an if-then. Like, you have this treasure, your heart's gonna be in that spot. So if you're trying to be honest, like, what are the things that you treasure? So, but we can answer differently. But I thought let's give them a question.
Okay.
I immediately felt convicted by it because there's been times where my treasure has been, pursuing a girl or money or a job of some sort, and it's like that's where my heart was in its entirety. And then where the verse is supposed to be directing you to go is my treasure wasn't up in heaven, and
Yeah.
so my heart was nowhere nearby.
Yeah.
And it's like that. It immediately struck me, and it's like
That's why I spent so much time thinking about it. What is our treasure in
Right,
life?
right.
We have different treasures from different times, and maybe it's not appropriate. But what is our greatest treasure? I thought it was our faith.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
sir.
good.
So wherever your treasure is, your heart is there also.
Right. And isn't that nuanced, right? I mean, because there's probably things that you value, like you have like a value list of like 10
Yeah.
things, and it's basically telling us that it's a barometer.
Yeah.
You want to know what you care about. It's funny. We used to say to people, I used to have students. We had like 50 student leaders would show up for my youth group because we had hundreds of kids, and I had them show up on Sundays at 6 a.m. And when they'd say, because I said we're gonna do training, and so they do it, and 50 kids would come. When they wouldn't, they said, "Oh God, man, I don't know if I can make it." And whatever their most important thing. So if they want to be an actor, I said, if Steven Spielberg said, "Hey, meet me tomorrow at 6 a.m." I said, "Would you be there?"
oh yeah.
They said I wouldn't miss for anything. I said, "That's right. It's just a value statement.
It's a value statement.
It's a value
That's
statement.
true.
What are you really valuing?" And I always say you don't have to be part of this group, but if you want to be a part of this group, you have
Yeah.
to value this, and you have to
Yeah.
be here at this time.
You need to put your money where your mouth
Which is the same idea, right? Where people get this idea.
That's probably where that saying came
So
from.
put
from
your
this
money
verse.
where your mouth is. But I like where you went, Judge. I know you said it's hard to boil it down to a brief, and lawyers are never brief. So congratulations on coming up with one sentence. But I've always thought that the verse meant, and I would have a question that would be, what do you spend your money on? And that would be telling of where your heart is. But you've given a whole, my mind just kind of went, the way you put it, it's almost like they're both your loves. You treasure what your heart needs. It's almost like that is your treasure, is what you love. Not necessarily pointing out the money. Now, I don't know if we read before and after, if we're taking it out of context. Do you think that
It
this
implies
verse-
both. It's like anything else. It's not like a hard line, because I think you could say to something along the lines, which we'd say to people is, I'd say to somebody like, show me your calendar and show me your bank account, and I'll tell you what you care
We'll
about.
tell you what you care about.
I won't. It's
Isn't
not
that the
hard.
truth?
It's not hard to do it. Like where
Yeah.
you spend your time and where you spend your
Well,
money is
people
what you care
tell
about.
me they're having problems with their wife or with the issues with their girlfriend, and I
Yeah.
say, well, let's unpack that.
Yeah.
Show me your calendar,
Yeah, isn't that true?
because
It's huge.
What are you doing all day?
love is spelled Time,
Yeah.
right?
Isn't that
Yeah.
the truth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not Love. So your checkbook or your bank statement and your calendar absolutely is the ammo against you. I mean, or for you. It shows you
Is there
where
time-
your heart is.
Is there time on your calendar for prayer?
Right.
Is there a church service every Sunday?
Well, it's true. And we'd say this in a maturing way for people, like they're going to church and they're saying, "Hey, man, I'm really feeling still spiritually dry," and I'm like, I said, because you think Sunday's a meal for the week. I said, it's just a meal for now. You know what I mean? Like there needs to be additional. You don't eat once a week. You know what I mean? Like, and if they're eating once a week, you're gonna be spiritually dry.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you're coming to church thinking this is gonna get it done for me, I said, it's just either how it depends how you see the week. It's either the ending of your week in a good way or the beginning of your week in a good way. But it is launching you in a direction, but it is not the everything. So
That's one of the reasons why I love doing the devotional every morning. It's just the way to start your day with the Word.
So my first impression was a little bit of a different facet. The main word that jumped out to me was the word treasure. Something I learned in Bible school was treasure is like the root of what the book of Revelation is. Revelation means it's like a treasure that is hidden to be revealed. That's what revelation means.
it's the word apocalyptos, where we get the word apocalypse, and it means the great revealing.
Yes. So to me, that's kind of what it is. It's like God, for me. It's about God's timing. There's like sometimes you're praying for something, and God's like, it's just not the right time yet. And when it's the right time, whether you read a scripture 100 times or something in your life that's going to happen, all of a sudden it's like the treasure box is open. It's like a precious thing that was guarded and treasured and concealed that you needed for the right time. So for me, that's kind of like what the word, it can mean about money and that kind of thing, but to me, it's something that God's protecting for your life.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And He's waiting for you to reveal it for when you need it most.
Yeah.
So that's what I got out of this scripture. And that's where your heart needs to be, is just completely in God's hands. It's like, God, if I need food today, if I need whatever that it is, He's gonna reveal that to us. So
Well, if we look back on who Jesus is, and when He's talked about treasure more than once, He's like, it's a man who found a great treasure in a field. He reburied it and gave all he had to go buy that field, right? And it's kind of this same idea we think about with Jesus, where He's just saying is He's really, because He's so culturally in tune. You know what I mean? Like, that's why it's weird to me when we get the Christians who are like living like in the past. I'm like, Paul quoted poets from the day. You know what I mean? Like, Jesus says, you say. Do you know what He's saying? He's talking about common phrases in their time. He knows what's going
You've
on.
heard it said.
Yeah, he's like saying, this is what's common in your culture. This is what you guys believe. But anyway, so He's very aware, and He's obviously contrasting. He's contrasting the idea of before He's like, you worry about eating, you worry about clothes, you worry about. He's getting at the heart of that stuff, and He's ultimately saying is like. And then I'll give you another quote, which is good. He's like, you people honor me with your lips, but your hearts are far from me. And it's this idea of, He's talking about the heart of a person. And I'm guessing at some point there's this idea of, how do I give my heart to God? Do you know what I mean? And He's kind of like, well, you want to know your heart's at first. He's like, what do you treasure? And He goes, and if you want your heart to be close with God, then you need to treasure Him, His Word, His Spirit, So, it's fascinating.
Treasure to me is something that's very precious and dear. It's not a common thing. I look at it more than money. I look at it as something that is of great value. Your spouse, your children, your faith, your health. To me, that's all very, very precious.
Isn't that one of the challenges in our world right now? Is in our culture, I'd say we worship our family. We worship our kids in our culture, not necessarily us individually. But I mean, if you look at it, every single thing most American families do is revolved around their kids. They're in 4 sports. They're in, we just do everything. And it goes back to Jesus wasn't demonizing that. What He is saying is like, has this treasure been elevated above me? Right? Or do you go to me to learn how to love your family? Or do you love your family and you also love me?
See, that's why I think faith is the key to all of it. That's the treasure that you have without seeing. It just is. And that enables you, in my mind, that enables you to open yourself up to that love of family, that love of your brothers. It's just a miraculous treasure to me.
You got to keep your priorities. It's always God first, family second, but even in your family, it's your spouse, your children. Because, if you're married, you've already cleaved your mother and father. That doesn't mean you don't respect them or love them.
Should have.
But you should have. But there is a pecking order in all of that,
Yeah.
and we don't ever want to.
You know, and the thing that comes to mind, and it's taken me a long, long time, those who know me well, it's taken me a long, long time to understand, but in that relationship, in that love relationship, a dear friend of mine told me one time, and that kind of was a turning point for me, it takes 3 in a relationship.
Yes.
And as much as I love you, I love God more, and He's going to be with us. There's going to be 3 in this relationship. And without that, you're never going to make it.
Well, you know, the sign of the cross is, you know, He sees the two shall be as one flesh. For me, from what I understand in teachings, is God sees the husband and wife as one, and then so there's that covenant. But then on the earth, the horizontal, it's between the husband and the wife.
We
So
use that
it's a-
imagery all the time when we talk about love God, love people. It makes the cross.
Yes,
There's a horizontal dynamic and a vertical dynamic that are essential.
but it is a covenant relationship between. But when I heard that, it just made so much sense that when God looks at the couple, He sees one, because that's such an honorable thing to Him. So
What do you think, Eric?
Well, I think we're at the halfway point.
Are we?
We're at the halfway point, and so I just want to point out a couple things because guys jump on and off. Share this with your friends because, as Joe pointed out at the beginning, people will comment and share for weeks, and we've had, a couple of these burnt offerings. There's 600, 700, 800 plus people that end up viewing it, and so just want to tell you that today's verse of the day that we're unpacking is wherever your treasure might be, there will your heart also be. And the numbers on that is what?
Matthew 6.
Matthew 6:21.
Matthew 6:21. So what we've asked is that you go ahead and post what are your
We're
treasures.
just saying, what's your treasure? Or
What is your treasure?
Yeah, you know, even just the idea of what fills your heart the most. Just make it simple. You know what I mean? Like, if you were to look inside your heart and say, "This is the most treasured thing in my heart," what is it? It's your kids, your family, your boat. If you're Jared Fulmer.
If
You
you're
know?
Jared, yeah.
And I think you can use these.
Hi, Lisa. Hi, Terrence. By the way, sorry,
Yeah.
I want to give you shout outs.
These topics are there for you to go back and look at under my
Yes.
daily devotional and the burnt offerings. Use it as a resource. Go through there and find that verse that we talk about. Find that verse of the day that helps you and comment on it.
Yeah.
They're always there. And we read the comments. We enjoy them.
In fact, all the crazy stuff we do with these guys under burnt offerings are on our YouTube page. So if you go to our YouTube channel, it's all categorized by topic, and it's all there.
It's just getting started. It's amazing. There's like 3 views on some of these things. And like,
Well, yeah, but
like we've got traction on Facebook. Hi, Instagram. We're just starting. And YouTube.
Instagram, and then,
YouTube, since you're going to see this later.
But the
you know,
nice thing
trying to
is-
love you as well.
is like Judge said, you can go there and pick
How
one
many
out,
people do we
and
have
they're
on
actually
Instagram?
archived by verse that we unpacked, so it's there.
Instagram.
Oh, right now
I think it was
watching, we have
100.
one.
Well, I
we have
think
one.
there's
We have
100.
one person watching live, but they
That would
usually a
be
lot of these are
you, I'm
later because it's the
assuming
middle of
it's
the
counted.
workday. So I think what's
It's
happening
probably you watching.
If you're watching on Instagram
Right.
and it says 1, I think it's you.
is there's somebody's names on here too.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Well, I'm just hoping because it's probably going to die because the phone's low
Oh.
here. So as
Well,
long as we
alright.
don't disappoint anyone, if you're on Instagram and this goes dark, go over
It's
to
your
Facebook.
fault. Oh, that's not
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. It is my fault.
It's your
Go over to
It's the phone's
Facebook.
fault.
Holy smoke.
Yeah.
But you can go on YouTube, and our channel is Holy Smoke USA.
Yep.
And all of our content is on there. So.
Yep. So let's go back to let's go. So when I first read this verse, when I first started reading the Bible, it was very convicting for me. So for me, the first thing I thought was, what is in my heart? You know what I mean? Like I just was genuinely like, so let's just kind of unpack what's in my heart. You know, what really matters to me, and because you said something that triggered a thought for me, which was, you know, I've always said God, spouse, kids. You know, I was always walking through these priorities, and I think that's 100% still true. What I learned later is that the reason God is first is because God's the vehicle in which I go through the next order. Like God is saying, come to me because I'm going to show you the best way to love your spouse, the best way to love your kids, the best way to love your friends. And so God was saying, it's not just, I think a lot of times in church, we paint God as petty. Praise me. I'm like, aren't you all self-sufficient? I mean, is this really? And God's been telling me that he's worthy of it. And honestly, that it's just like with giving. Giving is to release you. Kill the other master in your life. By the way, by Instagram.
Oh,
it just went dead. Instagram's gone. Facebook, you're good.
Yeah.
You're fine.
I'm gonna plug that in. Just
Right.
so I'm working
Right.
later.
But all that to say is, you know, I think the reason God is prioritizing himself, this idea behind what's our treasure, even the idea of a boat. Do you know what I mean? It's like not bad to have a boat. It's not bad to like your boat.
No.
It's just in the context of what's most important. It's almost like
That's right, Jared. Don't have guilt.
That's right. It's more along the lines of that. If I had a boat like Jared's, you wanna come out and just say, God, thanks, because God's first, right? So it's just really seeing all that in the context of what matters most.
Mm-hmm. Something's tied in with this is stewardship. You know, when you realize we're talking about that pecking order of God
Yes.
and then your family, when you realize everything you have is God's, God has loaned you your wife, loaned you the children, loaned you the awesome boat,
It's true.
your house,
You're stewarding it.
your health. You know, and that's all we are. Is we just need to be a manager of another person's finances and affairs, is the stewardship.
Wow.
And so when we realize that it's actually God's, it's not ours,
That's
and
all
it's
more
God's
fun.
money, you know, we're keeping 90. And, you know,
But how important is that? You know, in the law, we talk about a fiduciary responsibility. When you're shepherding
Fiduciary,
someone
that's a good
else's
word.
money, when you're a board member of an organization,
Oh, yeah.
of a church, you have a fiduciary obligation to manage those funds.
Yeah.
How important is that? Does it get any more important? The way you put that, it really hits your heart. It says, I have a fiduciary obligation to take care of this family,
Absolutely.
take care of this world, take care of our brothers.
Yep.
You know, be there for them. That's
good.
your
it's like
obligation.
the preacher said, this is not something to be taken lightly.
Well,
When
I'll
I see
tell
young
you.
people getting married, I don't know if they quite know the depth and the breadth of that commitment that they're giving to one another.
So true.
Let me read this.
So
Let me
true.
read a comment here. So
Oh,
I'm keeping
yeah,
in touch
comments.
with
Nice.
We have a comment that says, yes, it's through him. Loving your spouse and kids is not forsaking God. It's what he wants. Heart. It's from Lisa.
Was that your wife?
It's Lisa Bates.
Oh shoot. Okay. Well, so I got kind of a harsh one when we talk about this verse, and when it comes down to literally wherever you spend your money, that's where your heart tends to go to, right? You spend money and time on the things you love. So Lisa, stop watching. She probably knows this, and then I got a compliment to follow this up with you. But these suckers are expensive. I'm smoking a Julius Caesar. I think this was like $25, right? If you smoke 3 or 4 more, this was $29. So let's just say you're $100 a day if you're like some of our friends that are smoking cigars easily. And you know, if you're our buddy Jazz, he smokes $50 sticks. So you know, you can only smoke 2 of those. You're at $100 a day. But you think about that. We love them, and we invest the time to smoke the
Yeah, it takes
cigars
time.
and the money. Do we give that much energy and money into advancing the kingdom?
Question.
Now we can justify that this is a kingdom advancement deal, and this is then
Amen.
becomes an investment
Yeah.
in you guys.
Yeah.
But
It's true.
But one thing that so there's that. I mean, think about how much you spend on cigars and the time smoking cigars. Are you investing in your friends' lives and sharing Christ with them at that level of finance and time commitment?
It's good.
I mean, that's a tough one for all of us, right?
Right.
But I will say, as a pastor, Joe smokes the cheapest cigars.
Wow, this is a compliment.
I feel this
He's
is a
smoking one of
compliment.
mine right
That's
now.
okay.
You see what I mean?
This is the compliment.
NOP.
This guy is such a good steward of God's money that he won't even bring himself to smoke anything decent. Like, there's nothing that he smokes that I would smoke.
And preferably getting a stick from one of us.
Yeah, so that's why we have to donate to
Yeah,
him all the time.
that's And the problem is, every time I smoke one of these and I go back to my sticks, I'm like, oh, this thing tastes terrible. All right, but we got some more responses.
All right.
Lisa said, ha ha ha, Eric, I know they're expensive, and a crying, laughing face. And then she said, it's an investment in holy smoke. And she went where I was going to go, which is, here's what's really cool about when God's first. You can redeem so many things that you're investing in. Meaning, like, I'll just even think about, like, you could be married. Great, that's a good thing. A lot of people are married. But you can actually redeem marriage to, like, a godly level by investing your relationship with God into your spouse. Like, you can go from just being, like, we're married to, like, it's a holy matrimony that's been brought together, and we're speaking God into our relationship, And it doesn't make you elite. It just means you are creating spiritual value, not just earthly value, to the institution of marriage. Same with cigars. The idea of holy smoke. It's the same thing. It's like you and I and a bunch of us have had this feeling is we're believers and we smoke cigars, and we thought it takes time and money. It needs more value to it than just my personal satisfaction. That's how we felt. It wasn't enough that I just was personally satisfied with cigars. That's where holy smoke came out of.
It's
is that
not
needed
just
kingdom
a
value.
consumer thing.
Yeah.
It's not like you're just sitting there eating a bowl of ice cream, enjoying it, and talking, thinking to yourself how amazing it is with the fudge topping or whatever, right? This is about relationships.
100%.
Even for non-Christians, sometimes the only relationship time they get is over a cigar with other men.
It's one of the new community places where men will go
Completely disarming.
and just hang out.
Completely disarming.
Yeah.
You can talk about anything, and the rest of the guys will put up with it.
Yeah, and politics aside and everything, it's like I tried to explain to people what it's like going to a cigar lounge. It's not somebody just smoking. It's really so social. And
what I was
as you
drawn to.
say,
Like a
we've-
barbershop
we-
or something.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
drawn to.
We've found that the guys were talking about Christianity and stuff a lot, and even the people that didn't believe were listening. And so that's how Holy Smoke was formed. And that is a service. It's a service to all of us. I remember the very first time that Ted invited me to Holy Smoke. I said, "What the hell is Holy Smoke?"
Was it here?
Yeah,
Oh, it was
absolutely.
here.
Very first time here. And when it was still very small, there was only, I think, about 8 of us or something.
Oh, that was one of the early ones.
Yeah. And what a relationship it started, not only with each other and the closeness that it brings to us, but Holy Smoke being televised now and everything, and people that I have people on there that I've never met that have joined the group and read my devotionals and look at our burnt offerings. You're so right. Yeah, it is an investment in our brotherhood.
And you could do that with anything. You could do it
Absolutely.
with the gym. You know what I mean? You could do it in any single part of your life. It's not even about being a weirdo about it. I think it has a lot to do with the idea of if you keep bringing everything. There's a book I read in college called Blood Brothers, 130 pages, about Elias Shakur. He's a priest in Palestine. Anyways, and he talked about his dad. He was his hero. And his dad said, I hold everything before God with an open hand. I never clamp down on it, so that way God can take it or leave it. If you hold your spouse, your life, your cigars, your time, your pocketbook, everything before God, saying, hey, I'm going to go to the gym, but I'm holding it before you. And God's not mad that it gives you personal satisfaction. It's not like, I always thought it was weird when people, I meet guys like, well, I'm dating this girl. I'm like, that's a really tough relationship. He's like, yeah, I just kind of feel like Hosea, I need to kind of be, I'm like there's some people feel like God needs me to take the hard road. I said, that's your own personal guilt, homie. God's not like, I need you. God's like, just follow me. And if it takes you to a mountaintop, awesome. If it takes you to a valley, cling on to him. You know what I mean? But there's somebody like, nope, God's only in the valley. I'm like, that's insane. Just hold it all before him.
I feel like the reverse of this is that I should be able to set my cigar budget based on how important it is and where my heart is now.
Well, that's how I convinced my wife to let me do it. So don't unpack that too
Judge,
much.
we may need to have you over for dinner and talk about this. So here's something to think about. If it really is, if the money's where your heart is, what if we flip it around? Where is your heart? And now let's match the spending of our resources and our treasure. It struck me. I'm thinking of a business concept, but I'm going to switch it to church since we are reading a Bible verse and stuff. Guy told me that it's too cold, I think, is why. You got to warm that up. Our church is the number one. What's important? The number one thing is, it's the children's ministry. We just believe it. This is it. They're the future. We need to build. They would say we need to build trees that'll have shade that we'll never sit under. And I said, well, let's look at your budget. What do you have? And the smallest line item of the budget was children's
Smoking
ministry.
as the most important thing, least
This
of
is what we
investment.
believe. You tell everyone, this is what we believe, but then yet they don't. It's kind of like a guy talking about, being neat and tidy and clean, and his car's a wreck and dirty all the time and never. Your talk and walk have to match.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it's saying is, there's proof. We know where your heart is because we could see where you spend your money.
Yeah, it's good. Let me read some more comments because they're good.
Comments.
So Robbie's got a few, and then Lisa had a couple. The cigar shop has changed my life with friendships and growing up. and then it says I could go on and on about that, but you guys have only a couple minutes left, and Eric looks hungry. LOL. Then Robbie says, I miss all you
Chewing
can
on
eat.
the cigar.
Says I miss all you can eat sushi dinners with Judge. LOL. Then Lisa replied to.
Chinese buffet.
She said it's an investment in Holy Smoke, and she replied to the idea that it's relationships. And then she said, "Holy Smoke Children's Ministry?" Question mark. Crying, laughing face.
Whoa, hey,
You know, and I
hey.
want to note that since Robbie's watching too, but I want you all to know that not only was this started because of Robbie,
Yeah.
but more importantly, this brought Robbie to a point to where he wanted to be baptized with his brothers in Holy
Awesome.
Smoke.
Yep.
That's right.
I mean, that's where he was baptized.
Amazing.
And I'm doing my best to upload the baptism to our YouTube page.
It's so long.
It's such a long one.
It's so long.
that
That's why
they
you have to just give up your computer or phone for like.
Oh,
You're
Forever.
important to all of us, Robbie.
By the way, I always talk about when people are like, "Why 4:00?" I'm like, Robbie.
yeah, it was
It was
Robbie.
That very random time.
His class. His
was
class.
Robbie. Yeah,
And
his
it's
class.
crazy. Whenever we get
We've never changed it either. We're like, nope,
We
that's
should.
it.
whenever
It's my
like
class.
35 or 40 guys show up at 4:00,
Yeah.
I look around and they get there at 3:30 because they want
They want the
to.
fellowship.
Guys are there
They
so
want, and I
early.
look around and I go, "Does nobody have a job?" I mean, I
No,
know
it's what's
good.
important.
It's what's important.
important.
Okay, you know what?
That's
That
kinda
was a
the-
bow.
Wow.
That was a perfect bow. We're done.
And Robbie
You
just
heard it
says,
from
I
Judge.
love all you guys, so we'll
Love you,
cap it
Robbie.
off on there as well.
All right.
What's up, Sean? You can rewatch this. We're about to end it. It'll all restart, so when you check in, it'll
Yeah.
reset for you.
Oh, one quick thing. I'm having by the Fuente family. I'm having the Julius Caesar, and this here with us today is Carlito Fuente. And the reason this is important is we're going to start having cigars, Arturo Fuente's cigars on Fridays, and talking about those cigars and some Bible. So that's going to be live on Fridays. It's going to be called Fuente Fridays, and Carlito is going to be with us, so you can tune in on Fridays as well if you'd like. So that's it. Any last minute? There's
I
a bunch
like
of
the
Holy
book.
Smokes. They're
Oh, yeah.
this
They're
Thursday.
all over.
Actually, Will and
Different times,
Yeah,
too.
Will in Clovis is happening this Thursday at 5:30.
Yeah.
and then we have
And then
5.
you'll be right here.
Oh,
at 4
very
o'clock.
important. Yeah, here. So no more annex. For those you watch and know that we've been meeting at Jim Silva's. Now it is now back here in Clovis,
right.
off Cindy Lane. That's
Yeah.
right. He's just Cindy Lane in that area, and Peach.
Yep. So all right. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you later.
So yeah.